And hello. I'm Dan Lutz. I'm here with Stefan Rowe, also known as Dank, and Tuilomaloma from Fiji. How is everybody doing?
Great. Doing great.
Yeah, we kind of started the broadcast actually a little earlier because we were just chatting offline, and then Doris says, "Oh, we should start the broadcast." So we've already covered everything good, so we're going to go on to the boring stuff now.
That's not true.
That's not true.
You dirty rascal.
That's okay. I recorded it, and we'll put it out there for others to see at some point. It's a good behind the scenes stuff. I mean, maybe we need to make a behind the scenes reel or something. I don't know.
Well,
but
I'll tell you what, it's pretty exciting. You know, because of all the noise that I guess we've been making internationally, that I'm starting to get contacted from some treasuries and things of that nature that are, you know, they're looking for ways out of their current situation, and they're kind of they're aware. You know, that's a big piece when they're actually aware of what's gone on. You know, and so that's exciting because they're reaching out to kind of turn sides. It looks like, you know, guys that are cemented in the you know, who are longtime members of the other side are reaching out, and they're being very forthright about it. They're like, listen, you know, I've been part of this, and they're like, you know, but they're like, I'm a friend and I'm here to help, you know, any way they can. So that to me is very, very encouraging.
Yeah, I kind of covered India earlier on the front lines because of what happened with the Democratic debate where they had the glitch that happened.
What was the glitch?
Yeah, the glitch where they had to repeat a question 3 times. And that question was about gun control, removing hundreds of millions of guns from the population.
Right. Okay.
But the interesting thing is that Trump tweeted a bunch of tweets telegraphing 2 hours prior to the glitch that the glitch was going to happen.
Wow. And if you listen to Thomas Williams the other night, you know, in his relatively cryptic way, he's like, read between the lines, and he said, you know, Twitter, Facebook, and Google all had glitches where you couldn't upload images. That was it. I don't really know what you read between it, but, you know, so I'm sure that Kim is doing something there that.
Well, let me continue a little bit. We'll get to India on this. Apparently, it was the glitch had to do with the microphones being turned on for people in the other parts of the debate. They're going on like in the control room or the audience, and all their microphones were on. So it was interfering with them asking the question. So they had to ask that same question 3 times. So now they actually tracked back the hacking to India. So it's all logged in. They do know what's going on. And now I think Trump is now going to use this information because India increased their tariffs against U.S. goods, and because Trump was trying to get them to lower them, and they increased them. I think we're going to watch and see what happens now if he's going to use this new ammunition against India on one front. But the other part was, why were they actually having to ask this question 3 times? It was to cover up the Parkland shooting massacre, that 6 of the officers were fired and some are arrested on the same day as this debate, and that they actually were complicit and part of the plan to have this deep state false flag event happen. And yes, and they even have the one guy that got arrested and taken away in chains. They have his video of him putting on his body armor 2 hours prior to the event, and then going to the school, and he's there waiting, and while this is all going on. So they even had security breaches there where the gates were open through these big secure gates, to allow kids in and out. Well, these particular ones where the guy entered, the kid, were open for him to get in. So he was literally, this is MK Ultra all the way. He was mind controlled to do this.
Blind eye. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
So that's why they had to do this.
That's the kind of news that should be out there being reported, right? Like, you have these 6 officers arrested. I mean, that needs to go up immediately. That's important. Wow.
Yeah, and it's while the Democratic debate is going on. So what did they do? They needed to cover up this Parkland shooting. So now they have Parkland question asked and the debate. So if anyone does a Google search, what are they going to see? The glitch.
Right.
They're going to push down everything about what really was important. It was a false flag to get people to give up guns, right? To be in agreement with giving guns.
Wow, I need the reference to that immediately. We need to write that up. That's huge.
Yeah. Well, this is all happening now, and also while we were on the air 2 hours ago, I guess Kevin was talking about Epstein's Island. There's a new arrest there. They've arrested him again on trafficking.
Oh, well, that makes perfect sense, and that's going to tie back to the Clintons, by the way, because if they were arrested Epstein again, what they're going to have to start looking at, because we have the logs, we have the actual plane logs that you can see. Bill Clinton's logged on the plane, so is Hillary Clinton. But also when they busted up the port down in Florida, that would go directly to Epstein's Island. So they identified 80 traffickers that they arrested, and they also saved 1,700 kids, right? And Ivanka Trump and Mike Pompeo came out and announced it. That's based on the information that Michelle Walker dropped. Because she told them exactly. There's a port there that's registered to the Clintons, and they tracked it down. So
yeah. So this is it's all happening, all happening, and we're joking yesterday about. I said that the flying triangles should have been there on the 4th of July to blow away all the smoke from the fireworks. They were there. Yeah. They were there. There's pictures of them at the time of the fireworks. There's a perfect triangular one that is pictured, as well as some prior in the sky in the daylight, right, where there's actually looks like there's 6 of them up in the sky, just hovering out there.
Wow. I mean, that's enormous. I mean, that kind of stuff is incredible.
And
good day. Huh?
And Tucker Carlson had an interview with Trump, right, while he was in Japan, and he talked with him about, or maybe it was in North Korea. I'm not sure which one, but on this recent Asian trip, he talked with him about UFOs, and apparently a lot of the interview was cut out. Right, where he actually had a minute. So someone that was there during the interview has said, who works for Fox, said that it was all cut out, and this is what was said. All right, and he talked about literally the some answers that were about the UFOs, really confirming that there's something there, but they can't talk about it.
Wow,
So,
that is amazing. Amazing.
so yeah, it's amazing, indeed, right, Tui? I fill in the indeed for Tui. It says he's muted.
Indeed.
So. So anyway, so we have Fourth of July is over, the offense is on, and things are now pushing forward, and we're going to make history as as the money flows into Fiji and all the other island nations and these other nations that are ready to accept the money that Kim is ready to transfer to them. So we're winning.
Yes,
Winning.
I'm excited. That's great news. I mean, that is really great news. Because it's like what that says to me is like, hey, the time of us being the crazed lunatics versus the visionary geniuses is finally coming upon us, right?
Yeah.
It's a fine line, It's a fine line.
Yeah. Well, we're at this point, and we can see that there is what Tuya was discussing with us just before we came on the air was that the military there is in support of moving forward and replacing the government, right? But it's not time, right? So I don't know if Tui wants to cover any more of that, but that's something I think that is important to know that.
Yes, indeed. Sorry, Dan. Well, thank you, Dan, and thank. First, I would just like to say thank you so much to everyone. Thank you, everyone that's on the live show, and wherever you are in the world, whatever part, whatever country you may be. Love and blessings, and thank you so much for your time and for joining us today in this great big change that we are actually creating together. And I am very blessed and very thankful to you for being part of it. And so, yeah, the change that we're happening is going to be happening individually as within you as a person, and then to your family, and then to the rest of the your relatives, and maybe to the nation level. And that's the change that's actually happening here in Fiji. The structure, the way of life, we are changing it slowly, and that's what the trust is actually doing together with everyone else on the planet. And we're just here to manage and to see that it works the way it's supposed to, and that we have learned enough lessons of fighting and disagreements and unawareness, and we'll just help everyone to grow together in awareness and in spiritual unity. And that's the change really that is changing in the government. And so I'm very thankful to the progress that we're having right now, and to everyone that's working together. Even though a few weeks ago we never think that we'll be doing this together, but then it's just coming. Everything is just coming in alignment, and it's accelerating. And all we have to do is try to ride the wave and don't go against it. And that's before the show we were talking about it. And yeah, the progress right now we're doing right now with the people in New Zealand. They actually send me an email, and the email is in that email they're trying to teach me the language of sovereignty, which they use and they understand and is used in the banking system. So I haven't replied to the email because I want everyone, all the chiefs to be able to understand this language. And it's talking about you, the self, the crown, and the specific language for specific part of you as an awareness or as a spiritual being. That is very important for people to understand. And it's really, really, we've been discussing this for the past few months about sovereignty and about the spiritual essence that is within you, that you're creating illusions with. You're thinking and you are believing, and then you're manifesting physically. And this is very specific when it comes to this language when you're dealing with the banks, because that's truly the way the banking system runs. It runs on the illusions of the language, and if you misunderstand or you don't truly understand what it means, according to the level that they use that language with or the words, and then you will be lost in the translation, and you will deceive yourself or you'll be deceived by your own awareness. So that's one of the reasons why the show and coming onto the show and sharing about this and about the fifth element and sharing about the connection to the planet and connecting just by understanding and listening to me, people will be able to see that they are not on a planet, they are not on a land, they are the land. The value of the language that comes out into their perception for them to be able to understand what is going outside of them or outside of their physical body. Those are all part of the same thing, which is the land. In our language, in Fijian, we call it the vanua. We don't call it land. And so the vanua, it represents everything that includes even human being that is one and united within the four elements. And that's the water, the land, the fire, which is the sun, and the air, and every living things in the sea, in the water, every living on land, that's animal and plants, and the people. That's what the vanua is. And so the word vanua is very specific. And if you separate a plant or a human being from what the word vanua is, then it's not a vanua anymore. It doesn't exist. It won't exist in that sense of a word. But every Fijians understand what the vanua means. It simply means the whole planet and everyone and everything in it. And so the language, that same language, the email that was sent to me is using that same language, and it's very specific. And it's just simply a twist of words and of it's word magic. I call it word magic. Just a twist of words and create certain terms here, there, and then you misinterpret, and it's just like how how the law of the sea is, the law of the water is established and running on land right now. It's just they're using currency, they're using the water as a reference of commerce and money and all this. It's normal. Not a lot of people understand this, but it's time for everyone to see how the cabal and all this truly runs the planet, and how they need to understand that just language and the illusion that has been created is what is keeping everyone in the dark. And that's why everyone is they don't see these things. They're just acting out of what they normally are taught in schools and in traditional education systems. And so that's a big challenge for us, gang, for us here in Fiji. And so for the past few days, all we are doing with the chiefs, we are discussing. It was just a short email that is, but the message in that email is multidimensional, because if you don't understand this, if you don't understand this in a very, very specific manner, or if you don't understand how to value spoken words that you speak, and if it's in a different language and you don't understand the context of the language, then you'll be lost and you will be enslaved by your unawareness. And so that's the reason I would like to send and maybe share the email with you, with Dan, with Dank. And if I know you guys are already aware of it, and especially everyone in the know, especially everyone here on the show, but I need this to reach everyone on the planet, whatever language they speak, and they need to be able to see and be able to understand what the language of the banking system and how it works. And that's the only way we can run out from or step away from that system. We had a very good discussion on a few days ago on my birthday, on the 4th of July here in Fiji. And then we had a discussion about they're trying to teach me about it. But for the past how many years, that's everything I've been studying, the law of sovereignty. And because we have our own language, the sovereignty language that we speak in Fiji, it's so easy for me to translate all the instruction or all the hidden meanings through the email, because I can just translate it into Fijian and sovereignty, and I know understand fully what they're talking about and how people create values and illusion outside of the self to the land, and how we own and how money exists. And yeah, this is it's just money magic, money word magic, and money magic that has been running since the day of Solomon, since the day of the sovereign kingdom of Babylon, and even before that, and even not just in this planet, but on the other different planets as well. They've been running on the law of the seas as well. So the different planets and different timelines exist as different, what you call ships or planets. And so that's how the dimensional beings understand about this planet. And it has a captain in it has and all the cooperation within the planet is just that cooperation, and they come under the private structure of the Rothschilds. And so what we have to do, we have to, like, everyone around the Rothschilds are public. So once we understand that, we'll be able to make ourselves become private, and we'll use that private. We'll become almost, like that, like them, and become administrators and beneficiary of the organized trust that has been organized for this past thousands of years. Um, we've learned so a lot of things from that small talk, and we were able to connect dots. And I know, Dank, you've been hearing about it, and you'll be able to connect more dots. And because of being there with Kim and with Thomas, and being able to have exchange and understanding with Kim, and I know in the future we'll be talking together. We'll be discussing the whole thing together, so that we'll be able to create this. And Fiji has the highest probability to do this outside of the current system, and we have to stand up for our own sovereignty. Everyone has to work for it, and I have to learn and have to try and see it and try and understand this slave system that they are under, and then we'll be able to know how to get out of it. So for the past 10 months, I've been teaching everyone here in Fiji. I've been teaching them about that, about the spiritual energy, and about all this language since the time of Solomon, since the time of Babel or Babylon or Bab El, which is the gateway. Bab, which means gateway, gate or door, and El is the Elohim, which is resembles the God or the fifth element that's within you, which is the source of um, guarantor of deed. That's the word they use in the banking system. Guarantor of deed, which is what you call God, God. That's you,
Oh,
and you
guarantor
are the
of
guarantor.
deed. Okay,
Yes,
got it.
and so that's you, and that's the awareness within you. And so a lot of people, a lot of misconception about God that has been twisted, just been just spoken words that are misunderstood. And so it's time for people to be matured and be more and have more understanding about the physical body and about how they create illusions within out and then outside, and value and keep that illusion. And then that's the only way we can actually change the bigger illusion, the collective illusion that is ahead of us, that is in the future, and we can change that future in that way together. So that email, just a very short email, but they are trying to teach me that language in a very short email, and I can see where they come from, because we speak the same language of sovereignty in Fiji, and that's how you speak to the next to the chiefs or from different. That's how we refer to them. We refer to them as Ratu, and Ra in my language means sovereign, or crown, or sons and daughters of the light. That's what Ra means in our language. Rarama means a light. Rama, it's a combine of Ra and the Ma, and that's the language Zara that I was sharing, that I'm part of the agreement with Kim. The Za is the feminine, and the Ra is the masculine, and together they form light. And so that's what it means to my language. And so that's why we are doing this. We are trying to create that light and save everyone from the illusions that they are all lost in. And I know that when people are listening to this show in the future or listening to it now live, they'll be able to see the same thing, and they'll be able to understand that they are truly sovereign and they are sons and daughters of a living creative force that is within them. And outside of them, they just need to understand that perfectly, and then try to understand the different aspects of how to speak and value the illusions of the spoken word. And it's in the Bible, in the Ten Commandments. The third commandment says, you don't
Hello.
say that. Sorry,
Yeah, you're
someone keeps
breaking up.
calling me.
Oh,
Yeah, so that's basically the what the Ten Commandments is truly is. It's just referring to the awareness within you. Thou shalt not have any other God before me, and that's what's that it's just referring to you, the fifth element that's looking out and reading and expressing and valuing what it's reading. And so and then the next thing is you shall not create any graven image, which is your illusions of the mind that you try to
ah,
value as God. Yeah, and the graven images are all your awareness outside and how you value the physical illusion. And if you get lost in this illusion and you think that's the guarantor of deeds, then you are lost. You will forget who you are, and you will be lost in all this illusion, money, and all this, and then you are not allowed to speak God because it becomes outside of you by speaking. So the Ten Commandments is very, very specific about who you are and the fifth element within you. And the fourth commandment is just talking about the Israel people. They have to have some rest within a week because they've been enslaved for 400 years, more than 400 years, and that's what we are experiencing right now. We've been enslaved for more than thousands of years. We need to learn how to be rest or to go and rest. And the sixth commandment after the 10th commandment is just the relationship between you and awareness to another, to your neighbor, and the love of expression that you have within you, which is the fifth element, and how you express that love and balance it out to your neighbor. So if the love is in balance, then it becomes a negative experience, and it becomes a lesson. And so if you love yourself too much, then you will break all those commandments. Or if you love others too much, then you become a slave. So if you miss the first four commandments, you become a slave. And if you miss the rest of the sixth commandment, then become the you become the what you call this, you enslave everyone else, or you try to control them, and you try to own all these people. And so Jesus said in the New Testament, he said, you must love your neighbor as you love yourself, and that's a balance of love. So love is the essence of you, and if you don't understand how to balance it, then you will hurt either you yourself or your neighbor. And so that's one of the most important things, which is balance, and that's what we are trying to do right now, is to balance the whole system that has been imbalanced for thousands of years, and we create a new one. And that's why I said this thing will just happen on its own, because no matter how the whole universe, it uses the law of one, or the law of balance. And to be able to do that even within yourself, even within your mind, even within your creation, and the energy within you, and the understanding, it follows the law of balance. Your body follows the law of balance day and night. If you become imbalanced and you don't follow these two, you will be the one learning the lesson. And so to go against the balance. And so everything that is energy, that is love, is always balanced. So we are living in a different, in a duality structure, and we need to learn how to balance it. And once it is balanced, it gives you wisdom, and you become the light. And that's the wisdom that everyone is gonna learn and everyone is going to take from all this experience. And so, yeah, that's basically that email, and I wanna I will be sharing it
Yeah,
with you.
please send it to me.
Just yes, um, yeah, as soon as I can send it right now, and we can discuss on it. Yeah, sorry. That's it for now. For now, I'll talk. Maybe Tank, you can actually add on. So just give me time to send that, and we can put it up on the screen, and
Okay.
people will be able to learn. And yeah, so I'll try and send it right now. I'll get out of the call, and I'll call, and I'll jump back in after I send it.
Okay, that's fine. But the rooster will continue for Tui. We have to discuss sovereignty. My dog has been expressing also his sovereignty. I don't know if you could hear it, but well, I think Tank is not is not able to unmute himself, maybe, or he's occupied. Maybe he's on a call. So, well, I guess we're going to see what this what's on this email. So Tui's getting ready to send it to me, and we'll figure that out. But we have it's an interesting perspective, looking at the 10 Commandments from a point of sovereignty, right, and recognizing the God within you. We are all made of source. We are all of God. We all vibrate. I always looked at us as like our DNA is like a tuning fork, which just struck a vibration, and we're vibrating out in reality, expressing God. We're individual expressions. And we just ring out, and as our consciousness, our minds set out our reality, and it unfolds in front of us, we keep creating every moment. So it's just a very good way of recognizing, that when they remove God from from inside us and put him up in the sky on a throne, a great white throne, there's a looking outside of ourselves for things, and then we're not. Then of course we're not responsible for all of the things then that are happening. It's always the world around us that is responsible. So it's a way of not taking responsibility is not expressing sovereignty. We have to realize that when we're doing these things, we're expressing our sovereignty from the standpoint of how we act against the things that are coming towards us in our joint reality. Oh, I see. He Tui did send it to me. Let's see. Well, that's quite an email there. Okay. Let's see. I guess I could just share it with this. Let's see. Expand that. Oh, that just goes that big. That's big enough. Okay. So greetings to the United Kingdom of Fiji. The Crown, acting jointly with His Majesty Tuilomaloma, greetings. Please find attached copy of our security with background information endorsed by the Crown, acting jointly with His Majesty King David. Papala Upai, the second of the United Kingdom of Me. Ikam Mui and Papala, which has requested by the special report. I don't know how to say that, reporter, in Geneva, the information reported as being very sensitive. Oh, it's very sensitive. Should we be reading this? Many acts have been enacted in the name and on behalf of His Majesty. However, who is His Majesty? See the hits in the following link. Okay. Well, let's go check a look at that. We'll have to stop sharing and reshare. So this is. Hello. So let's see. Reserve and Other Lands Disposal of Public Bodies Empowerment Act 1924. Okay, well, I don't know what to look for here, but all right. That's what that was. We'll come back to this as needed, but I just want to see what that was. I'll go back to the email. A crown grant of land, trans and estate in free simple confers on the person named in the crown grant. Therefore, you, the crown, is conveying an estate in the name His Majesty King Tuilomaloma, equity being king, equity being debt owned to the crown, who is the creditor. Okay, let's go look at the next one. Share the screen again. Okay. Let's see. So this is a Property Law Act of 2007, Subpart 7, abolition and modification of common law rules related to property. Okay.
Hey, Dan.
Yes.
Maybe you can read, if you want to understand.
Not hearing you, Tui. Just try it again. Maybe I can read what?
To read it. If you could hold email before you go into any of the any of the links.
I should just read straight through, and then I see. Okay, all right.
So the first reading, you won't understand what they're talking about. You have to read it 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and
well,
then
you usually
after.
have to read these things at least twice. When I go through these kind of documents, I follow the links and go backwards, so I at least have a reference. Like I didn't read all of the first one, but I can go through it that way as well.
Yeah, that's the whole reason why I'm showing everyone is because I need people to actually be aware or have to learn the certain language that I used here that is very specific.
Right.
Just that we have to try and you can understand it at first because it's totally in a different context, and then you'll be able to.
Let me talk with you as I go through this. So it says the crown acting jointly with His Majesty King Tuilomaloma, greetings. All right. So
Yes.
So this is this is the message coming to you from the Kingdom of Fiji, right? And he's addressing you as king, meaning sovereign.
Yes, individual. As I'm a crown on my like I'm a I call it ratu in our language, but that's what he's actually meaning, that I have a crown. So maybe you just read first. You just read the whole thing for once, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it as we read it again.
Okay. All right. So we'll read through this once. All right. Okay, we'll start in the beginning, so we'll go one straight through. Okay, greetings to the United Kingdom of Fiji, the Crown acting jointly with His Majesty King Tuilomaloma. Greetings. Please find attached a copy of our security with the background information endorsed by the Crown acting jointly with His Majesty King David Upai II of United Kingdom of me.
No, me.
Okay, thank you for that. I can let you read all of those. All right.
No, go ahead.
Okay, which was requested by the special. What is this one? Rapporteur. Okay.
Yeah.
Rapporteur in Geneva. The information reported as being very sensitive. Many acts have been enacted in the name and on behalf of His Majesty. However, who is His Majesty? See his hits in the following links. So we will not go there.
And so rapporteur is just a report. It's a French word of report.
Okay. A crown grant of land, trans and estate in free simple confers on the persons named in the crown grant. Therefore, you, the crown, is conveying an estate in the name His Majesty King Tuilomaloma, equity being king, equity being debt owned to the crown, who is the creditor. In every agreement, yes?
Go ahead.
Okay. In every agreement creating or evidencing a trust, the crown is the settler, grantor, transferee, and transferor, meaning God, grantor of deeds, maintained by your predecessors in title. The document being the vehicle of conveyance, as you will see in this corporation of agent of the crown, therefore His Majesty King Tuilomaloma body, corporate acting jointly with the crown. Bunch of links. Land alienated from the crown. This duality is the banking code represented by the two pillars of the King Solomon's banking code, a split title. All right. At the crown birthing ceremony, the doctor proclaims that I can see the crown. Okay. the is coming, etc. The crown is coming, etc. Being you, the fiotus, acting jointly.
So fee owed to us.
Oh, fee owed to us. Oh, yeah.
That's you.
Okay, thank you for that. Yeah, so fee owed to us. Okay. Acting jointly with the land you were born in the place NTA.
Placenta.
No.
Placenta is this is talking about the ovary and the
Oh, it's meaning placenta, right? Okay, I got it. Born in the placenta, place NTA, that is given his name, His Majesty King Tuilomaloma, to create a land title. Once the umbilical cord is cut, the land is alienated from the crown, recording the is alienated from the crown, recorded and registered at births, deaths, and marriage, and the cycle is reenacted in every agreement. As you see, the YouTube documentary further confirms certain events, however, doesn't go deep enough. The United Kingdom or kingdom exists through the crown acting jointly with His Majesty King Tuilomaloma. I hope this will clarify issues in relation to land title issues. Crown land Crown land is the highest title. Avoid native title or aboriginal title or indigenous title.
And customary.
Customary. Okay. And customary. All right. Title it all relates to a alien controlled by original crown grant being the Declaration of the United Kingdom of New Zealand, 28 October 1835, first time best in law. First in time best in law. All right, and then here's a phone number and then illustration. Good enough for now. Godspeed, the crown, acting jointly with His Majesty King Nelson by the corporate native title. Okay. So yeah, this is quite a handful. So we're talking about when you're being born, you see the crown, you see the sovereignty, and then the land. The land is. How are you part of the land at that time? Yeah, I'm asking you.
Are you asking me? Oh, when you have to understand how the law of the sea works, or the law of the water, which is what all the banking system runs on, or all the banking system of the world they run on, or they operate under. And so in this email, he's just trying to teach me how I'm actually disconnected at birth, and they, even though it's just a natural process, you're giving birth, which doesn't really mean anything, but they use this as it's almost like a occult ceremony to be able to bind everyone on the planet to enslave the soul. And they have a specific meaning of every part of the body of the female body, and what it truly means when it comes. And these give them the right to enslave everyone.
And you're being brought forth by the Doctor, and yeah.
Yes.
So I know there's a lot of meaning in these things.
Yeah, and so it's a much deeper meaning when it comes down to you and being a sovereign being, and the sovereignty being taken away. And that's very important for everyone to learn at this point. Every simple person that wants to be free, they need to understand how to speak this language, because these are very specific, and it will enslave you if you don't understand it. And that's why I'm sharing. I'm not supposed to be sharing it with you. It's time that all these things come out, and one. So this is how they have the right, and they have the right to actually enslave you, because they know what is actually taking place, and they put it in a ceremony, and it's an occult magic ceremony that is happening, and that's what money is. It's you can help, and people are being enslaved because they don't understand all these different, all these very very specific structures that's been running for thousands of years. Even though this is just this document or this awareness comes from New Zealand, but the Vatican has been running like that for all these thousands of years, and even worse, they've created the religion, and they've created because people sometimes they're not registered in birth, and they try to create the baptism for the second birth, which is the exact same thing. That's why you go into the water, just like when you're in the water, when you're inside in the womb, and then you come out, you become a living soul.
So you're turning over your
that's
sovereignty to the church.
yes,
Like a
and they
baptism is
register
really
you
you're
You're hard
gateway.
turning
to
over
hear.
your
They become,
sovereignty to the church.
Hank, can you speak up?
Sorry, you're registering your sovereignty to the church, right?
yes, and so they instill this into the Bible, and if you don't understand how to actually value your illusion, you'll just get lost in all these all these doctrines that is actually meant for you not to understand, not to fully understand, or understand it in a different context, and they use the hidden context to enslave everyone on the planet. And so in every churches and every religious groups right now, they're doing baptism. I'm sorry, you guys are just perpetuating the same magic ceremony that when they conquer a certain place and they can't register them because they're already adult, they will have to tell them, if you want, to see the kingdom of heaven, you have to go and be birthed again. And they instilled it into the Bible, and people read it, and it becomes doctrines, and because they believe it, they are lost in all this, all these just magic and illusions of words to enslave the soul. And so all those things I always tell my father, who is a pastor. I tell him all those things that don't exist. They're just illusion. The soul is free. You don't need to do anything. There's no debt. There's no sin. The experience is a gift, and even that system is also actually a gift, because you are learning, and you're learning to separate yourself from your soul or from God, and then you will learn how to actually get it back. And that's what the trust is doing right now, and that's what Kim is actually doing right now. And that's why this is very important for everyone to understand. And I'm thankful I'm discussing it with you guys live. So this is not just a simple finding of projects or changing humanity. This is much deeper than normal people may see or normal people may understand. It's a war of the spiritual sovereignty of everyone on the planet, and the illusions of being captive or being eluded and being enslaved in the current system. And so this email, if you read it and if you understand it in a very specific manner, you'll be able to understand that it's trying to teach me and everyone that reads it. And I'm discussing this with all the chiefs, because we have the exact same thing in our language, and we treat everyone as sovereign. So they're trying to teach us English way, the same thing we are doing already, and which can't do anything because we are just a small country, and we have to work together to try and get this and get the whole planet to understand and be free. So that's why even without money we are already sovereign here in Fiji, and that's why we're not binded in that in that spell or in that illusion created for thousands of years. And so that's the reason the project that I made, our project, the Manna, Return of Manna, which is it's we don't want to use money in Fiji. So if it takes us less than 10 years or less than 20 years or even more, and a few generations that's going to come up, we're going to use love, and we're going to free everyone from this illusion. And we've set up there's a lot of us that sit down, and we've set up a system where we don't actually need anything to, and we just do things out of the value of our value to everyone else, or what we do, and you do it out of love, out of free will and love. And so everyone can do their own talents and be the highest expression that they can be, and be able to free the whole entire country without and then we do that outside. And so this is just the beginning of that freedom, and that awareness is very important, because it builds. And that's the reason why the Ten Commandments is very, very important. The Ten Commandments is really specific. It was given by the Ra Confederacy, and the Elohim gave it to the people of now Israel. Is the Zak Confederacy, the Zak and the Ra Confederacy, and the Elohim Confederacy, which is the future timelines of the Elohim, that all the names in the Bible, Michael, Gabriel, and all these future people that is there in the Bible, future expression of the Elohim, which is just us, but in a different timeline, that come back in time to try and help guide people so that they don't get lost, and guide the awareness so that they don't get lost in the illusion of the body. And so we are here, in this war, just actually expressing and trying to express that freedom of that love. And that's why I'm thankful. We're discussing about this. I know if you know that we're discussing this, it's gonna benefit everyone. And in the future, once we start doing and once we start privatizing all the banking system and take away everyone from the public and into the private, we'll become sovereign just like everyone else. And it's funny, the system is already designed in that way, and because it knows that one day, once these people are awake and aware, they will be able to free themselves, and that's how the system is already been programmed. And we'll just need to talk and work with Kim and the trust, and we'll need to work every people, not just waking out from the recreate this new future together with again, and then we'll be able to discuss it a little bit more further. Sorry,
Okay.
Dank, if you have anything you want to add, please go ahead.
I'm familiar with the language, and I'm just fascinated to hear a little more about how to use this language to secure our freedom. Because really what you're talking about it's profound, right? I mean, this is very, very important to all of us. And I've we've set in I've sent in quite a few documents to different banks, very conscious of how to phrase things. And so I'm just curious, these guys, the banking institutions clearly have no respect for the laws in any way. So I'm just
Yes.
curious, so it's kind of like, what good?
It's okay if it's in their favor, but not enough. It's not in their favor. They'll ignore it.
Right. So that's part of the problem is that they are outlaws, which is, I've been talking about this a lot lately, that the reality is, until we have a body that is enforcing the laws, there is no law. It doesn't matter. We live in the wild, wild west. Now, what I think is unique about Fiji is that you have the absolute support of the military there at your call. Which that's at the end of the day, the enforcement of the laws comes down to the power of the enforcer. And that's where we're at. I mean, that's why in New Zealand and Australia they haven't broken through either, because there's not a strong enough force enforcing the laws. So this, regardless of the language and the shield symbols and all the various components, they don't mean anything if there's nothing there to enforce the laws. So I do think that Fiji has the best opportunities to do that first, and then I think that sets a precedence for the rest of the world. But I'm curious.
Yes, indeed.
I'm curious where they're, what they're looking at. Because I think that's everything.
Yes, the current situation we're doing right now. The real reason why we started doing the talk was because of we went to the bank the day that that you shared for us to go and wait, and we called Kim up, and she said that won't go through because the people from Australia will block it, and all these guys will listen to the show, and that's why they started together, because that's the same thing that's happening to them, and now they've understood that only in Fiji will be able to actually create a system outside of the current system, and it will have to involve everyone, those people from New Zealand, because they are the one that knows how to register or maybe bind a sovereign kingdom into the private to become truly to be sovereign, and to make it be sovereign. And so that's this communication that we're doing right now. The email that's the first email from New Zealand that came from New Zealand to me. And they're trying to teach me that language, and even before to get into getting them here to Fiji and privatizing local commercial bank. And but they need me to understand the language that they're using. And to everyone out there, I fully understand all this language. Even 4, 5, 6 years, 10 years ago, it's a gift I had, I don't know where it comes from. I didn't learn it anywhere. When I was born after 11 months. So I spent a few 2 more months inside my mom's womb, and on the 11th month, that's when I was born. And when I was born, my mom didn't have pain, and they didn't turn like the way a normal baby turned. I was always upright, and when I was growing up, that's I see through this all this illusion like nothing. It doesn't exist to me, and it doesn't even affect me. In my life. When we went to the to the Reserve Bank, the former governor, and I told him I was talking about this to him, and he didn't understand it, and he didn't know, and I thought he was supposed to know it because he works for the Reserve Bank, and he worked for the IMF, he worked for the World Bank as well. So what this language, they don't understand the language of the water and the language of the land, and because they've this element, and they've used words which is used by the law of air, which is the words that you spoke. It comes from the air to enslave people in an illusion of the law of the water. So that's what has been tainted for thousands of years. These four elements: the water, the land, the air, and the fire. And so the air and the fire is your awareness, and that's what has been enslaved. So what they did to the four element, they just intermingled the four element, and the whole entire planet are lost within this envelope structure that they did. And that's the word magic that they use. Or they use air to speak it, and the law of the water is what they use to actually enslave everyone and pretend that we are all underwater, and pretend that we all and then they use the land to actually unbind you from that, and then use the land to enslave you, and then you lose yourself within that. So there's a lot of alignment and healing that we are doing right now, and it's not going to be stopped, because it's time for the fifth element within to realign the four elements, and then and break free from the illusion we ourselves create and we ourselves are in. And so that's why this discussion is very, very important for the future people. Yes.
So
go ahead then.
That is really the ultimate goal: is how do we unwind? How do we reverse this situation? Everyone I know that has been aware of the birth certificate entity, scarecrow entity, and has realizes the debt-based system. They all try to figure out how do they get out, or how do they collapse the trust, or how do they do so. And everyone goes to a certain distance and thinks they've got the answer, and then things twist around on them in the end. Now, I think Pantera de Oro has a different way, and I think it's correct. But maybe there's some other ways that we need to look at in order to take up the position of being sovereign. So, what are those steps?
Well, then the steps is what we're doing right now, because this is the first time it is gonna be done in a very long time. And so the Fijian chiefs here in Fiji, we are just here to set an example and to set a template. And so everyone, no matter how much how you can talk about reading the book, you won't be able to get out of the system, because everyone is in it. You can use the legal, the judiciary and all this justice system to try and get yourself sovereign. I'm sorry, you are still in the water. Everyone is still in the water. And so as soon as like an entire country can do this, not just a person, an entire country can do this from a system, then that's the beginning of everyone to be able to see that light and be able to see and free themselves from it. And so that's why it's going to be easy to study it out. Like I've been talking about this from the beginning of our show. It's going to be so easy to do it in Fiji because it's a small country. And then to all the small other countries around the Pacific, they are small. They are going to set examples to the whole bigger countries that's already. I know Russia will be able to do it as swiftly as they can because of how the political system, and China will be able to do that as well. The United States you guys will be there'll be a lot of tension and a lot of it's like the body. You're gonna get sick, you can get stronger, and then you become free, and that's how it's gonna work. And so the reason why we are in this situation right now, and it's focusing on Fiji, is exactly that. All the United Nations leaders, they understand this. They understand that if you want a system, you have to take it and
You're breaking up, Tui. You're breaking up.
and then take. What's the last thing I said?
We heard the United Nations understands this.
Okay, the leaders of the United Nations understands this because they've been trying to unite the whole planet. That's why it's called the United Nations. But really, the way they were doing it, they were trying to force the unity, physically force it. But the unity, it won't happen that way. It
They're trying to
will have to happen from.
They're trying to physically force it through massive genocide. The United Nations doesn't know.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Like, they don't know anything. Like, they don't give a damn about anybody. They're not trying to unify anything other than their money. I mean,
Yes.
like, not to say there's not good people in the United Nations, but the leadership doesn't have. I mean, they could care less. All they care about is imposing their will. So
yeah.
I mean,
and so sorry, go ahead, Dan. Thank.
No, that's it.
Okay. Well, I was saying the United Nations because that's how they practice a political system in regards to what's happening right now in Fiji. They will take it to a small country like Cuba, and they practice this new political system. And then once it runs, and then once they have success, and then they try and take it to the bigger countries and implement it there. And so that's how they do this. And then they, like the double, good and bad. They create all this propaganda, and they create wars out of it. And so this has been the way they've been using to try and actually unite the whole planet. But if we just simply look within and understand the spiritual energy within us, there won't be any just by realizing who we truly are. And that's what we're going to do here. And nobody has to die, not 8.5 billion people. We don't need to force or don't need to compromise the religions, the cultures. We can have this diversity because it's the gift. It's not truly real. It's not what's separating us. The air, the land, the sea, or the water, and the sun. This unites us. It teaches us to be in unity with everything. But we can see that because we're all lost inside us, and so we have to. That's what we're trying to do here, to set that example that we don't have to physically change. And they're trying to do this propaganda of how how we are getting overpopulated and we have to die, and in order for the future to prevail, and all this and that, and they don't even understand how everything is in balance. All of the different timelines, and in the future, in the past, and even the current is all just in balance. Once we figure out the fifth element within us, we'll be able to control, and we'll be able to move the planet and adjust the planet so we can set the menstruation cycle in every female on the planet to be normal again, like before we have this structure. Now, we didn't have it DNA agreement about the menstruation cycle in the past. Before, when there was a double moon, when there was two moons, no menstruation cycle. As soon as you want to create a living soul from the spiritual dimension, you will have to agree and create agreement with the planet, and and then you have to balance everything with the planet, and there will be no overpopulation and all this. But because we are so disconnected from ourselves and from the planet, we have it's part of an agreement so long ago that the Great White Throne actually done, and that's how they put the moon in a timeline where we have this and accelerate the. But all this has reason, because they needed the population of the planet to be in these billions within 2017, within one cycle of the 26,000 years. And so we are right on track, and we are here to just correct it and realign everything back. And no one else from outside is allowed to do it now. We have to do it on our own. And they will all play a role. I'm talking about the Galactics, the Asta, the people from Agatha, the people from all the different timelines in the future. They will all play their role because they know how to organize the planet. They know how your DNA affects the environment around you, affects the solar system, and how the solar system affects you, and how you affect the universe, and then how the universe affects you, because you're not truly separated. Everything outside of you is inside of you, and everything inside of you is outside of you. You just have to try and figure that out. And so this is where it begins, and it's a growing it's a growing awareness for everyone. It's a lesson for everyone that they will have to try and remember who they are, and we have to start we have to start from where we are right now. We can move ahead and try and do something in the future without the moment now to try and establish a establish an awareness and a foundation of awareness, and then we can grow from there. So that's what we're gonna try and do, and that's what I told the people on the talk. That's what Fiji has on the table. We can do that, and we'll work and we'll use. And our PM is there. We don't need to change. We don't need to do a coup. We don't need to do that again. Everyone is just have to wake up and reorganize and re-understand the spiritual energy within them and the physical body and how it works together and how it creates illusion and how they value that illusion within the physical body, and then how they relate to every other God-given or sons and daughters of a living creator that is around you, and that includes the plants, the animals, the sea, in the sea and on land. And so that's what mana means in our language, when all these things comes together and working together in harmony and in love. And so that's what the Manna project is all about. That I know that I have presented to Dank, and that's why we are waiting for that fund to actually start it up. The spiritual side of it, the spiritual aspect of the sovereignty, and that's our role as the chiefs here in Fiji. We will talk about it, and we'll include all the people that are from New Zealand and all this, and we'll be moving around and teaching and telling people and talking to them straight up. I'll be doing the awareness. I'll be doing the waking up from this dream of three-dimensional reality, and that they will be doing the deciphering, the pure understanding of the banking system, and we will learn to free ourselves together from this current system that's been enslaving everyone. And so, yeah, it's an honor, it's a pleasure to be part of this change, and with you, Tank, and then thank you so much, and also with everyone that's listening in. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for your energy. Looking forward to meeting you guys, in the future, in a few days, in a few weeks, whatever that may be. We will be looking forward to empowering everyone and making everyone grow spiritually, in intellect, in mind, and in the physical level as well, and outside level as well. And the connection between you, yourself, and the planet, that's your work, and that's your private work that everyone has to individually do. They have to connect themselves to the water, the air, the land, and the sun, and work together with how the hormones in your body works together with the environment outside of you, and make sure you run you communicate, and you're always in balance at every time. And so with those words of encouragement, much love and blessing from Fiji. And yes, Dan, if you want to add in or have a question, thank you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you, Tui. So that's it's a lot to think about. We want to take those steps to go into where we're responsible for our sovereignty, and and it's so confusing. So how do we get out of the water? How do sometimes we're in the air, sometimes we're in the water, but they never put us on the land. So
yeah, they separated us from the land based on their ritual they set up from the very beginning. That's fascinating.
Yeah, I knew that there it was about the idea of the birth certificate being created, but I really to think about it from just sovereign eyes, only looking at it from that perspective, it does change the intensity of it, right? And how that it is really more on of a spiritual type of event that's happening. Where I was always looking at it as a mechanical, legal substrate they're putting up against us, and we can find our way out. But there's actually a spiritual component to it that I really was not looking at, from that. But I see it when it's presented this way.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by this whole thing. They actually set this stuff up in the original language of Camelot, I believe, and they had the group there from Australia and New Zealand. They can print up. They can create a brand new original birth certificate for you, too, which is part of what Tui's talking about. I haven't fully put all the pieces together, so it's pretty exciting. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
I'm about
Yeah,
taking
so
responsibility for my sovereignty. I'll tell you that much. I will gladly take
Indeed.
responsibility for my sovereignty today.
yeah. Well,
Yes, indeed.
my whole life, I've taken the stance that I am sovereign, and that I'm trying to uh, work from that perspective in any of the things that I was doing in dealing with the government or that. But always it was like, how can I exist in this system, participate in the things you have to do to live and to grow and to have businesses, but do it from a sovereign standpoint. And it's been a challenge, my whole life. So to have you know, there should be all of this laid out in simple information for people to understand what it is, and so there's this is it the way it is presented, and this is how this as, and now you can react against it. You can decide to do this or this. That information should be made you know available for people to act, and the government will accept it and not try and create new obstacles and things like there are new hoops for you to jump through.
I agree. I mean, these are things, especially now. I mean, all of the contracts they held us in place with have expired. So we've lived out the contract, which was not the plan. To Tui's point, like they expected us to be genocided, very soon here. So, the reality is, like, we've outlived their contracts. They have no power over us. All they're doing now is trying to get us to re-engage in the same type of contracts. So no one can take your freedom from you, but you can give it up freely. And that's part of the reason why this whole education is so important, because we all have got to accept, embrace, and realize that we're sovereign. And with that sovereignty comes the responsibility to actually create and build the planet in the way that we're supposed to, or the way we want it.
Yeah, the power of government is so overwhelming, right? And when they don't support the efforts that people are making to be sovereign, that it gets labeled as fake or illegal, or everything to prevent people from wanting to express it this way. So the government should not be in that position to maintain their monopoly of this system. That we should be able to change the system as we the people.
Yes, indeed.
The jurisprudence explains our constitutional rights, that any law that they have created that is not in line with the Constitution. Now, this applies here in the United States. I'm sure the same principle applies everywhere, because these are all corporate statutes, right? So if the original law is outside of the Constitution, then we are not bound by anything to abide by that law, because the law itself is unconstitutional, and the ones who actually created the law are essentially subject to judgment by the governed for making a law that violates our constitutional rights. Yeah. So that same principle applies to everything we're talking about with sovereignty. We are sovereign, and in knowing what that means, knowing our rights, that is where all of our power is. That's kind of what this reminds me of. And this is a theme that I see, prevalent in countries all over the world that I talk to on a pretty regular basis, of people taking back and realizing this is my right. This is my authority, right? This goes back to that book, The Prophet, where he says all of our power is in our awareness of our power. And that is what it comes down to. If humanity is going to be free, you don't get your freedom by sitting back and waiting for someone else to give it to you. You have got to stand up for it.
Yes, indeed. And
Indeed.
yes, that's really just the way. The good thing about it now, it's because of what the trust and Kim has done. There's no money to perpetuate this slave system, and everything is working on our side. And that's why I'm not worried about sending this and talking about it right now on the live show, and I want them to actually listen to it and understand it, and they will know that we are doing this because we understand how everything works on the planet right now, and the money that they're waiting for from the trust, it's not going to come, and that's what's happening right here in Fiji, and we will try and do our best to and organize this in a very swift manner. And Tank, I will be working with you, and maybe hopefully we'll be able to get Kim, and if she would be able to talk and maybe discuss on how to actually move forward together. That would be really, really good because of what her role is in these chains, and we can't do it without her, and we can't do it without anyone. We have to do it all together, and she won't be able to do it without us, and everyone else we won't be able to do it without her. And that's the mistake that the Kingdom of Manna did. And so eventually they will have to learn that as well. And so they learned that the hard way, because Kim has all the codes for all the assets, and if you're sovereign, you become the beneficiary. The trustee has to fulfill a role as the trustee once you are sovereign in that way. So yeah, that's the how it's gonna work right now, and there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of awareness for everyone, especially in Fiji and everyone around the world, to learn and to try and understand, and so we'll be able to get out of the system and become truly sovereign as we are supposed to. You can try and run away within the system and become sovereign in a country, but I'm sorry, you're still in the public. You are still under that system, and no matter how much you try to pretend, it will overwhelm you within time, and it will take away all your energy, and you will just die early because of all the amount of energy you will try and go use to try and go against the system. Everywhere you turn, they will be there, and that's why we are doing this in Fiji, so that as soon as we do this in Fiji, we'll become a kingdom, and we'll announce it to the rest of the planet, and to the rest of the cabal, and we will do that to the rest of the islands that are around here. And so we can, if they want to come and intervene, we can see them a mile away because of how everything is set up here, and they won't be able to pretend to be Fijians and coming in that way. That's gonna be that's gonna be. They will be able to see them. We can even see them from. Yeah, like I said, we can smell them even before they get on the plane. And so I'm looking forward to these few days that we're gonna work together with the people from New Zealand, and I know they might be watching, and there might be people that are going against it will be watching, but that's time for the lesson for everyone to learn together. And so yeah, we will learn that lesson together as a nation, as a tribe, and we will try and get ourselves outside of that system. So we will do that in a swift manner, and yeah, we'll get in contact and we'll try and get them as soon as they can, as soon as we're able to try and do this together, and I'll be able to start accessing the fund, working together with Kim and making her understand what we've done. So like I said, this is the first time it's gonna be done. I'm not gonna keep the information from everyone because this is their freedom, and this is how they can also do it. And I'm just here to guide and and fulfill the role that I'm supposed to fulfill. And yep, that's and thank you so much, Dan, and thank you so much, everyone on the live show. Thank you for your time, and thank you for joining us today. Thank you, everyone listening in the future. Thank you so much for joining us in this now, and hopefully this show will give you some more information and more awareness on the how to actually free yourself from this slave system that been here, which we create ourselves and we enslave ourselves into, and we will only free ourselves if we truly realize how, like Tanker said, how if you remember you have that power that you have within you. And so that's that's about everything that's going on right now in Fiji.
Well, that's
Thank you so much, then. Much
no,
love and
thank you.
blessing to everyone.
Yeah, love and blessings from the Philippines, and we lost Tank. He dropped off 5 minutes ago, but we'll be back tomorrow. Thanks again for joining us in the chat room, and please subscribe. Remember to subscribe also on our other channel, WWG1 WGALOVE, and we were doing front lines over there. And come to the website, wwg1wga.love, where we go one, we go all.love. Register there. And if you'd like to participate, please contact me in Telegram, and we're trying to help with the develop content there. So, all right, until tomorrow, thanks, Tui. Bye, Tank. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Indeed.
Peace.